Hello everybody, welcome back to Bravely Default 2. In this one I just want to quickly go over some tips for how you might want to set up your party in Bravely Default 2. Now, I want to preface this with you can probably make some stronger combinations than this, and I'm going to talk about them in a second. But I wanted to avoid some of the more obvious stuff here. So, first things first, let me show you on maybe even the Red Mage here. The stats that are now available from the Freelancer are just superior to any of the other classes that you could main. So, before we get into my party makeup and what we're going to be using for the next kind of stint of the playlist, then I just want to get that out of the way. So, I feel like the best role or the best way to think about the Freelancer is if you want to make a bit more of a Puritan build for one of the other classes. What I mean by that is, you can take the Freelancer, which doesn't really have that much in the way of damage itself, so obviously you'll have strong physical attacks, and it does have the body slam ability, which is pretty good. But it doesn't have, like, amazing things in anything else, right? We level this up so that we get the extra JP up in there, the self-healing is kind of handy, Dungeon Master's kind of handy, Forage is okay if you're not stealing. So really you're just going to be taking this for stats. So if you want to do a pure black mage, which is probably a bad example when I think about it because I'm going to show you guys why about that in a second, then going main Freelancer and then having black mage as your subclass is not a bad idea because you are just going to have superior stats. Right? That magical attack 183 goes to 343. Just insane. The other very easy class to main, in my opinion, is the Vanguard. Now, I didn't go over this in the previous episode because I didn't quite notice what was happening. But the reason for that is, let me see if I can get into the details here, the Attention Seeker ability, which, in my opinion, is fairly similar to how the Freelancer works, apart from this basically is a damage boost dependent upon how high your likelihood to be attacked is. And this basically means you can put all of the best stuff on your character and attract all of that damage. You'll probably have the highest defenses and just do mental amounts of damage, right? Now, this doesn't technically reach as high as what you might get from the Freelancer, but it is a considerable boost, and because of the way this works and the way that it gets its scaling from axes, this can be used to leverage some pretty good magic damage if you want to then subclass into the Black Mage or the Red Mage. So there's those things out of the way that I feel like are obvious. Some of the things that might be obvious to some people, I'm sure some people will want me to talk about stealing and having Magpie on so that you can get some of the rare items and stuff. But I feel like that's something that you would do as a targeted task rather than something that you might just kind of go around with as like a baseline party. So I decided I didn't want to have more than one Freelancer in the party, and I didn't want to have more than one Vanguard in the party because I figured that would be just, I don't know. I didn't want to have basically 4 Freelancers in the party that were all going to be Puritan builds. I wanted something a bit more interesting than that. So first up then with me here, I think his base name's Seth. I've gone with the Freelancer and the Pictomancer. This is probably a subpar pick here. Basically, I wanted to have the Pictomancer on here, and I wanted to have some good damage. Now, the cool thing about the Freelancer is it's boosting so many stats that the Freelancer then is good. The Pictomancer is actually going to be pretty good. Some of its later abilities are dark and light damage, and so he's going to do some really, really strong physical damage. He's going to do some really strong magic damage, and just kind of be an all-rounder, which is exactly kind of how I feel about him. Weirdly enough, this ends up having a pretty good synergy with the bow. For some reason, that is what's given me the most bang for my buck, just because I've got a fairly high level bow that does physical magic damage. I'll show you guys that in a second. Moving on to Glory, then I've gone with the Vanguard and the Bard, basically to be the opposite of the Pictomancer, so we can debuff the enemy, we can buff ourselves. Now, the one that I probably want to talk about the most is Elvis here, that I've got as the Red and the Black Mage. This one is probably less obvious of a pick than with the Freelancer. This is probably the biggest exception to having the Freelancer as a main. where you can make a very good argument as to why this would be justifiable. And you could probably do a party full of these as well and expect to do pretty well, because if you did a party full of people that were red and black mages, especially if they're maining the red mage, you will have massive damage and massive heal output. You may not be all that tough, but you will be able to get some really, really good numbers. The reason for this then is, let me get over here, is the nuisance spell and the chain spell. Now what these are going to do for you is nuisance basically means that all of your damage spells now have elements connected to them. Now unfortunately they don't seem to go off very often. Almost everything that I attack with them seems to be immune, which is kind of annoying. But the chain spell, basically casting every spell twice at no extra cost, is just obscene. that's all I can say about it. It is just obscene. And in my opinion anyway, is an effectiveness that lies outside of stat boosts, which is why I think that is just a strong pick, and is why I believe you should pick red mage over black mage. Now, obviously, if you look at the stats here, I think the black mage actually has 40 more magic attack on its stats here, but that just does not equal casting twice, unfortunately. The other good thing about this is you have a set number heal. The reason that's important is rather than trying to go black mage, white mage, and then having to manage magical attack and restorative power, you only have to manage magical attack, and then you can heal with your heal spells, right? Healer down here is going to heal for 3,000 twice, right? So we get 6,000 HP heal out of that without any restorative care whatsoever, so pretty good. This one is kind of just a bit of a laugh, although not a laugh at the same time. So we have mained the Beastmaster here, and that's because I didn't really want to main the white mage. I probably could have done, but the Beastmaster kind of has more balanced stats. So when we look at this then, as you can see, we've got pretty high, most of the stats are pretty high, and it is second highest for restorative power as its base stats. So what I decided was we'd go for this. This gives us some extra magic damage as well. Some extra speed, if I remember rightly, and basically just makes it an all-round stronger character, which also boosts the restorative power of the white mage. Now, the thing that I haven't explored with this, and kind of one of the reasons I wanted to do this, is I haven't explored all of the monsters yet. So I'm going to kind of show some stuff that we're doing with the abilities in a second. So moving on to the abilities then, ladies and gentlemen. Most of them looking pretty much the same apart from Eric. So we've all got spear attack to replenish MP. Everybody's got mug on with magpie so that we can get some decent stuff coming in. Cat, you're gonna have to wait. We've then got drain attack and beast whisperer on. So this is going to allow us to heal as we attack enemies and stuff. And then we have beast whisperer, which basically just allows us to capture some enemies as we are fighting through. Now this is important if we want to experiment with the Beast Whisperer, so I've just got everybody kind of capturing monsters just for the sake of what we're going to be doing as we move forward. Wow, got a real stutter there, I'm so sorry. And if I decide it's good, then maybe we'll keep it on. If I don't like it, then maybe I'll take it off. Just so it's replenishing the abilities there. Obviously everybody's taking things like MP save, not everybody. Eric is taking some significant differences here. He's got magic critical on and MP saver so that he can last a bit longer, and just overall feel like he is doing pretty good. I kept the magical critical on there just because that's the odd bit of extra damage boost. This should basically just occasionally let him do some extra damage, and being as he's casting twice, he's probably more likely to land a critical hit anyway, so not too bad. And just so you guys can see the equipment that we're using then, so we've got the quick draw bow on me here. Now, as you can see, because we are the Freelancer, we have like equal scaling with everything, and the bow just has pretty good physical and magic damage, which just kind of helped him out with the role that I wanted to perform. And then it's just a matter of putting whatever you want on. I wanted a bit of extra speed so that he'd get his turns faster, so I've got that on there. A bit of extra physical attack, so I wanted that on there, and some good defense. In addition to that then, we've got the Mithril Axe on, double Mithril Axe that we had before. I just want to show that we have the Earthbreaker here, which actually has better raw stats, but I found the Earth element on it was more of a hindrance than it was a help. So I decided to keep those off. If we get a different type of upgrade that doesn't have an element on it, maybe we'll go for those. But as it stands for now, I actually feel like the Mithril Axe is just better for whatever reason. I've got 10 for some reason because I keep on buying stuff rather than just equipping things. And then again, just kind of fitting on whatever you like, really. You give her some extra health because she should, in theory, get targeted the most, and a bit of extra defense and evasion. Probably not needed, but it's there anyway. Now we have Eric. A bit of an interesting one here. So we've got the main Gorsh, which is actually a fairly strong looking dagger with a good boost to magic attack. Actually makes it look pretty cool in my opinion as well, with the staff and the dagger on there. And then a dagger, staff in his offhand just because I like how it looks. He's actually gone with the magic gear on here just because it gives him a bit of extra magic attack, and that's kind of what I'm gearing him towards. And then again with our caster here, we have the same kind of thing with the restorative power with the Oracle dagger. We have the Longinus, which is pretty cool as well, and then the caster's type attire. So that's a quick overview as to the classes that I think are going to be doing well from Chapter 3. And it is the combination of classes that I'm going to be using until probably the end of Chapter 4, as we have a bit of experimentation and get some more classes as we go forward. Hopefully this has helped some of you guys, or at least a little bit interesting, and I shall see you all in the next video.